We sit on 650 acres. Back in the early 1950s when Mr. Olin bought the property, it was pretty much just overgrazed pasture ground. A lot of erosion, not much for trees or any kind of habitat for wildlife. And that was one of the great things that Mr. Olin, he set a plan in place, and he had this vision to make this farm, a hunter's paradise.
It's so surprising because you pull off of a highway 2 miles down the road and you are now out deep in the heart of the country.
Its proximity to St. Louis. I know when it started 70 years ago that it wasn't really close to St. Louis, but I just got here in 25, 30 minutes from my office. And it's like going back in time. This building that we're in, the kennel building, it's very full of history. What made NILO special for me in the beginning, before I ever came here about 20 years ago, was the fact that it was very exclusive. It was John Olin's place to entertain, presidents and dignitaries and some of the best target shooters and dog trainers and just the who's who of this whole industry, conservation, shooting, manufacturing. And it wasn't accessible to the general public back then.
Before it was always a private club, an invite-only club. But what I like to see is for us to get the word out so people can come experience what NILO is.
They opened up the doors to some charity events and they let people kind of start coming in and looking underneath the hood, and everyone was just amazed. You walk around this building and the pictures, and walk into the dog kennels with the trophy room, and it's overwhelming. I think people getting in here today don't realize the allure that we all had 20, 25 years ago when it wasn't accessible to the general public. It is a very, very special place that I don't think the average citizen grasps.
It's a unique feeling when you drive onto the grounds and you experience all the different things that NILO has to offer.
There's definitely excitement when you come here. There's also an expectation that you don't see at any other shooting range anywhere in the United States.
The staff is what I think really makes this place tick. Even if you're a new shooter, if you're an experienced shooter, a new shooter that's never touched a gun before, my staff, they're great with them, trying to get them to break that first target or to kill that first pheasant.
They just know exactly what you need to do. It's funny, if you're over the target, under the target, they'll say, okay, now do this.
NILO's special because I think it's the premier sporting clays course in this whole area. And when we told people we were going back to NILO for our event, everybody was so excited because they're like, that's the best place to go shoot sporting clays.
And whether you're here with some friends just shooting, it's going to be great. Whether you're here with some people that have never shot, that they're going to go over the safety, that they're going to provide them with guns, you're going to get provided with the best ammunition made, and that they are going to show you the best possible time you can.
I've had the opportunity to bring customers out here over the years, and when we come out here, all the business talk goes away, and we're able to connect one-on-one with each other in the outdoors. And the memories that are formed here are just lasting.
When people talk about NILO after their visit, one of the things that they always rave about is the lunch. And you can't beat the pheasant pie that Tracy makes here. I don't know if I've ever been anywhere else that I could order a pheasant pie. So you come to NILO, put pheasant pie on the menu, it's great.
The question that's always, or I should say the debate that always comes up is what food is better? Is it the fried chicken or the pheasant pie? I personally love the pheasant pie, but you know, it depends on what camp you're in. I may be in the minority, so the food is top notch.
History is long, deep, and storied with NILO. I love dogs and Labrador retrievers, and you know, if you've been around Labradors at all, especially field trial dogs, and don't know the story of King Buck, you need to read up on your history. This was King Buck's home.
This is kind of where a lot of this started with King Buck, right? You know, so I almost feel kind of strange walking on sacred, hallowed grounds where, you know, like he probably walked right here, and you know. And all the people that came before me, you know, and my hair's raising up right now just talking about this and feeling it, but just the history behind it, you know, the nostalgia of it.
Each one of my staff members, they have their own little fleet of dogs. They're the ones that they picked when they were a pup. They train them the entire time that they're here at NILO. Most of the dogs probably have never even left NILO grounds. We whelp them here. They get trained here. They hunt, you know, 6 months out of the year here, always with the same guy.
Good, check in here.
Now, dogs are kind of like people. They kind of all have their own little personalities. You know, some of the dogs, I could give anybody a whistle, and as long as you're the guy blowing the whistle, they would follow you around. And then other dogs, if you're not the guy that trained them, they're going to be looking for the guy that trained them. They're pretty dedicated to that one person.
It's obvious when you come out here and you go on a bird hunt, the dogs are second to none.
The way that the farm is split up, we actually have 6 different hunting areas that we will take guests to. So even if you bring a large group, we're going to split you up into smaller groups, send you out to different parts of the farm. You might hear some shooting in the background, but you're never going to run into another hunting party. When we have our dogs out in the upland field, there's constant motion. They're hunting, they're hitting the cover, trying to find the bird that's in that cover. And the way that differs from our duck hunts, during our duck hunts, our dogs sit right beside our trainer. They're sitting there, they're watching the birds fly over. When the guys harvest a bird and it falls, the dog does not go after that duck until that dog handler releases that dog. So the dog handling, in my opinion, is really neat to watch on our duck hunts because you see how obedient they are. The dogs wait their turns, they listen to their handler, and it's a sight to see for sure.
I think if someone just comes out here and walks back and shoots around a trap, or maybe walks around the sporting clays and shoots around a sporting clays, I really think they're missing out on what this place is all about. It's about the history, it's about the mission, it's about 70 years of doing the same thing and doing it the same way and doing it better than anybody.
I wish I had the vision that someone like Mr. Olin had 70 years ago to invest in something like this and purchase a piece of property, and I'm sure no way in the world did he ever envision what this is now.
His, along with NILO's, legacy is one of hunting-based conservation and stewardship. A lot of the techniques that were first employed here are now industry standard.
If Mr. Olin were here right now, I think he would be amazed. I think he'd be excited, and he'd be very proud of just the heritage and that this business has continued on.
We have not lost the history of what NILO is. We have kept that history, and yet we've still enticed the next generation to come out and want to be part.
I think Mr. Olin would be very proud of what the farm has become. With me being the manager, I just hope that I'm doing the job that he would approve of. I think myself and all my staff, we don't look at this as a job, we don't look at this as a company farm. We look at it more as, you know, this is our farm.
It is an oasis, and I think he would be very, very proud of what is here. I think he would be very impressed because I have a feeling that a lot of the stuff on the walls in here was here when he was here. I think if he walked in here today, it would be a lot like he left it. And I think anyone would be proud that something has persevered for 70 years, but it is still really, really tied to the culture and the goals that he set out for it back then.